With his latest threats against iPhone manufacturing in India, Donald Trump may just have overplayed his hand. How? Now let us clarify the confusion in under 3 minutes. Donald Trump has been on a flip-flopping spree, going back on anything from tariff announcements to trade talks to punitive duties to India's ceasefire and what not. He also made two direct threats against Apple. Its iPhone being manufactured in India, the latest last night when he specifically spoke of a 25% duty he will impose on iPhones manufactured in India or anywhere else other than the US. He later expanded it to include any phone brand manufactured outside of the US. Of course, if Apple shifts manufacturing out of India, it will be a big blow to India's move to attract manufacturing into the country as an alternative to China. And as Cashify co-founder Nakul told me, India risks the opportunity to lead in premium electronics manufacturing, and consumers may continue facing delays in product access. But it may not come to pass. Let's examine the facts. Except for Librem 5 USA, a brand which claims to be the only smartphone being manufactured in the US, all the top-selling brands in the world, from Samsung Galaxy to Apple iPhone to the Vivos and Oppos of the world, are made in China and India primarily. Now, Trump asking these companies to make in the US makes great political sense. This is what he promised his working class voter base when he got elected, since it throws up the opportunity of thousands of new jobs locally. But let me explain why it simply will not happen. Global manufacturing shifted to places like China because labor and raw material is cheaply available there. As per a JP Morgan analysis, while shifting iPhone assembling from China to India increases the cost by 2%, if you shift it to the US, the cost goes up by 30%. This means Apple's profits would fall 7.5 times if it's made in the US. Remember, it's a listed company and the management, led by Tim Cook, are answerable to shareholders. The only alternative then is to increase prices. Will they do that to a device which is already so expensive that people joke about selling a kidney to buy it? Instead, making the phone in India and incurring the 25% duty importing it into the US would still be cheaper than making it in the US for the company. It will be easier too, since most of the supply chain of components and raw materials that go into this phone come from places like Taiwan, Korea, Japan, etc. And don't forget, India offers a production-linked incentive, PLI, which helps Apple save hundreds of crores of rupees. Now, does Donald Trump know all these things? Of course he does. In fact, if you notice his pronouncements, they are more bargaining chips than gospel truths he resolutely plans to implement. For example, the threat to impose tariff on phones also came with a threat of 50% tariff on all goods from the European Union. That came just hours before the two sides were to meet for trade talks. Earlier statements against India came just before Indian and US delegations sat down in Washington, D.C. to discuss their upcoming bilateral trade agreement. In fact, some even believe that Trump's statements against Apple shifting to India was also an overture to enemy-turned-friend China, after both countries reached an early agreement on tariffs just before Trump started mouthing anti-India trade statements. Timing? Interesting, or was it just a coincidence? You decide.